Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs of society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Welcome, as Elizabeth Warren would say, welcome, all you hateful people who celebrate the president. You're always welcome here at the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you live from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, and joining me as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's my dear friend Sharron Engel. Sharron, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's always fun to be here, especially in these times. I can't tell you how entertained I was just reading the news for the day. I was laughing. Really, it is quite hilarious, some of it, but it seems like the lunacy, the craziness is happening on coast and coast, not in that flyover country, not in the heartland, but in especially on the West Coast. There's an article here about a woman, she's a tourist down there in Hollywood. You go to Hollywood, you go down to the Walk of Fame, you go down and see the stars. I mean, this is the thing to do, right? And some homeless guy throws diarrhea on her. And she said she was soaked, and it was coming off her eyelashes. And when they had to call 911 to come and help her, because now she's, potentially infected, and she has to be now tested for infectious diseases every 3 months as a result of this attack. Here she is, just there, and this guy who attacked her, he suffers from schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. He was charged with battery and taken to jail, and as she said, bless her heart, she says, he shouldn't be going to jail. He needs mental health care. And in a lot of ways, that's the neglect that we have done here. We have allowed our bureaucracy to inform us that we don't need to put them in institutions. We don't need to help them that way. Just let them go their own way. And so now we have people going their own way, especially in California. And it is seeping across the country. I know our city council here in Reno just did a hearing on the homeless problem here. And what can we do? And it's happening in Las Vegas. So every city now is experiencing this homeless problem. And like she said, many of them need mental health care, not jail.
Well, I agree with you on that. They need mental health help more than they do jail. But at the same time, Sharron, we as people need to be protected from violent acts. And I will call that a violent act. I don't care if this is a criminal or a person with a mental health issue. This is a violent act. It reminds me of an article that I read just today. The new prosecutor in San Francisco has come out and said that, well, we're not going to prosecute little crimes anymore, such as defecating and urinating on the street, such as minor drug situations, such as prostitution. So, we're just going to, there's not, and what it reminds me of, Sharron, is the broken window law. Okay, that if somebody breaks a window, and if they're not caught, if they're not prosecuted, the next thing will be a worse crime, and a worse crime, and then a worse crime, and then you're dealing with the worst of crimes. Well, Sharron, these people are not, and when I say these people, I mean the politicians, are not protecting us. We need to be protected from that person that's throwing diarrhea, and what a crappy way to start the show. But we need to be protected from that. People, be it they being mischievous, be it they being criminal, be it they have mental health problems, need to know that there is going to be how to pay for doing something like that. They're not going to be just, oh, well, say you're sorry and it'll all be. People need to know that if you do these things, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for the crime. And I don't care if even people, most people with mental health issues, know what breaking the law is. And if they
know the difference between right and wrong, most of them. That's right.
You. And that when you get a prosecutor like that in San Francisco who says we're no longer going to prosecute these types of crimes, I'm sorry, when are you going to start prosecuting? When are you going to stop moving that line in the sand as what is a crime and what is not a crime?
Right. Well, there is a failure in our criminal justice system, but a part of it has to do with people who just feel like these guys are victims. There's a victim mentality out here.
Yes, they're victims. We're victims. Don't make us victims too. So just because they're a victim, you're going to make all of us victims? No, you're supposed to stop us from being the victim.
Well, here's another prime example, though. Here we've got O.J. Simpson. And the reason I bring him up is O.J. Simpson lives in Nevada. Now, for the past few years, he's been living out in Lovelock, Nevada. That's a medium security prison out there. He was not, as you know, convicted for the murder of his wife, Nicole Simpson, but he was found guilty of other charges in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
and because of that, and because of that, he was put in Lovelock prison for 9 years. Well, he got out, and he now is suing. Get this. He's suing a Las Vegas hotel that banned him for allegedly being drunk and destructive in November of 2017, just weeks after he finished his 9-year prison sentence. And the reason he's suing them is because he wants to get his good name back.
Well, how about this, OJ? Don't be drunk and disorderly, number one. Don't go into a hotel in Las Vegas and rob a guy at gunpoint, number two. And biggest of all, don't kill your wife. And a guy just bringing back her glasses. Gee, OJ, if you're worried about your oh my God. Oh my
his
God.
Reputation. Well, they've been gossiping about it.
O.J. Simpson, you don't be drunk and disorderly. You don't rob anybody, and you don't kill anybody. Oh my God. Oh my God. Where will I be?
Well, it was just it kind of goes on because the hotel didn't do anything. They just asked him not to come back. Please leave and don't come back. And because he was drunk and he was displaying belligerent behavior. Well, somebody picked that up and put it out on some social media. Now, here's where it got bad, because on social media now they're talking and gossiping about him, and that's where he lost his good reputation, his good name. So now he's suing the hotel. Why isn't he suing the social media? Why isn't he suing the guy that tweeted out the gossip or put the gossip up on the social media? There's slander. If you want to go after your good name, go and sue him for slander or something like that. But to sue the hotel.
Sharron, did he in fact do this? Was he drunk and disorderly in a hotel? And if so, how can that be slander? How can that be slander? I mean, if he actually did this, how can it be slander?
Well, this whole story is just so funny because you talk about this guy that has he has had to reach a high bar. You know, the whole point of a casino is to go and get, there's a lot of drugs in casinos. What can I say? You
Sharron,
walk through a casino at any time of the day and you're going to see some really, some party animals there. They're having a good time. And so it takes a lot to get kicked out of this casino for being drunk and disorderly.
the other thing, Sharron, I have to ask, don't you think he should not say anything about this, because wouldn't this be a violation of his parole?
You know?
He should just keep quiet about this. Don't make this a big news item by suing the hotel who told you not to come back. My gosh, O.J. Simpson, you should want to be as quiet as a mouse on this. You don't want the parole board to know. Hey, Sharron, got to go to a break, and
Okay.
on the other side, we've got to tell our audience about the guests that we've got a great show lined up, a really terrific show. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And at this time of the day, I always say this, today's show is brought to you by what? The First Amendment, protected by the what? Second Amendment. Sharron and I will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. And Sharron, you know, the hallmark of the Conservative Commandos radio show is the great guests that we have each and every day on with us. And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to recommend somebody you would like us to interview here on Conservative Commandos, Love to hear from you. Please send an email to me at rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. It's just rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. Send an email to me. Put in the subject line, guest recommendation. Would love to hear from you. And speaking of a guest, Sharron, we've got 3 great ones joining us today.
Yes, we do. We have a longtime friend of the show, Marlo Lewis, who is a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Marlo has been published in the Washington Times Investors Business Daily, among others, and he has appeared on various television and radio programs. And prior to joining CEI, he served as the director of the external relations at the Reason Foundation, and he also served in the 106th Congress as the director of House Government Reform Subcommittee on National Economic Growth, Natural Resources, and Regulatory Affairs. And he's written a great article, Will Trump Safe Rule for New Cars Harm Public Health? And he's really gone through the reasons why this is a good idea to make this rule, and probably why we're going to see not happening. I guess it won't happen, and the reason is because they stack the deck when they have these hearings in Congress. So it'll be interesting to hear Marlo Lewis's take on that hearing. Our next guest also is a longtime friend of the show, Stephen Moore, who is a writer and economic policy analyst, and he founded and served as president of the Club for Growth and is a former member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. He also has worked with Heritage Foundation and as a distinguished fellow, and he has written a book, Fueling Freedom, Exposing the Mad War on Energy. But we're going to talk to him about an article he wrote, which is Post and Liberal Media. Again, get it wrong about the Trump economy. It's a problem when all Washington Post fact checkers play for the liberal team. Well, we've been saying that liberal team is stacked up against us, and now we're going to get the facts on the fact checkers, if you will. Our final guest is John Phelan, who is a graduate of Birkbeck College and University of London, and also the London School of Economics. He is an economist, and he will be talking to us about entitlement liabilities are graver threat to the next generation of Americans than climate change. This is something that I think all of our listeners really need to pay attention to, because he does talk about the things that we thought we were paying into, not so much, and how that's going to really hurt generations to come, and how it has actually put us in an adversarial almost position with our children and our grandchildren.
All right. So once again, 3 great guests joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Well, Sharron, you're always great at finding little tidbits in the news. What else is on your radar screen?
Well, I almost hate to leave the West Coast, because here we go. Here we go. There's a University of Oregon, and they have done this world science thing. Now get this. 11,258 world scientists from 153 countries are declaring a climate emergency. And we've got to go through this list of climate scientists. Wait till you hear some of the impressive names on the climate scientist list. We have Mickey Mouse, Araminta Aardvark, Albus Dumbledore. I mean, these are fictional characters, right?
Yeah.
And
well,
yeah, there are some of the scientists. In fact, they found 34 of these names. I mean, when people started to fact check this, they said, wait a second, who are these scientists? And it turns out that 34 of these names were bogus, just like Mickey and Araminta and Dumbledore. But the other thing that really gets you is that these scientists don't really have to be scientists. They are teachers, students, administrators, statisticians, economists, technicians, therapists, doctors, and psychologists, not climate scientologists. And really, the climate scientists that are top in their field aren't there. They didn't sign on, not a one of them.
So they just compiled these phony names, kind of like, gee, let's go to the phony voter registration rolls. And,
exactly.
Oh my gosh. What?
So,
anybody can become a climate scientist, Sharron Angle. You just declare yourself, I am a climate scientist. All right. I guess I could become a climate scientist because I could go outside and stick my finger up in the air to determine the wind direction. I can go outside and, gee, it's cold today or it's hot today. Therefore, I know the weather. I must be a climate scientist. Anybody can.
Darn, I wished we had known about how you signed up for this, because we could have got on that list. Because I'll tell you, even though they have said, okay, we'll take off the bogus names, and now it's down to more just 11,000 because they've had to take off so many names. But here's what, 11,258. But they've repaired the list, and here it goes. More than 11,000 scientists from around the world declare a climate emergency, says the headline of the Washington Post. And then the CNN article says 11,000 scientists warn of untold suffering caused by climate change. And the UK Guardian says climate crisis, 11,000 scientists warn of untold suffering. ABC News reports 11,000 scientists signed declaration of global climate emergency. So it really doesn't matter. Even if you fact check them and say this is all bogus, they're still going to salvage it and put it out there. So, we could have been among those 11,000.
How'd you get on this list?
You signed up. It looks like you just went to this university website. Where they were, it's Bioscience, Oxford University Press. And anyway, at OSU, it's on an OSU website, they posted it. So, they said, although there are a few invalid ones that we missed. We have
just a few hundred, like Mickey Mouse.
No, and not one. This just blows your mind. Not one of the really established climate scientists who are, working in this field, not one of them signed the list. So anyway, truth is funnier than fiction sometimes. But I did find a really serious article. This comes from your side of the country, Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. The courts now have declared that they can proceed with their lawsuit against gunmaker Remington Arms.
Yeah, well, that's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Right.
They may have found a local judge, a local court, but that, this is an issue that is bound for the Supreme Court, and I can't wait for that. This has got to be settled once and for all, and let's do it while we've got 5 conservatives on the Supreme Court.
Well, the lawsuit said that Remington should never have sold the weapon that is dangerous to the public. That's their whole gig. I'm just, shocked. Not shocked, I guess, but it is amazing that they can allow just private manufacturers to be sued. For what?
Well, when is a Ford Motor Company going to get sued? I mean, what is there 50,000 people that die each year in car accidents? So when is Ford and General Motors and Honda and Hyundai, when are they going to get sued because they sell a product that people can get hurt and killed in? We do not have, for once and for all, let me go off on this again. We do not have a gun violence problem in our country. We have a criminal violence problem. We have a morality problem. We have a mental health problem in this country. We do not have a gun problem. Okay?
But they seize on an emotional subject like the school shooting at Sandy Hook, and it was terrible. But that, terrible. Again, was not the weapon or the tool. It was the person. These acts are committed by people. And we get back to our first discussion today, which was, what do you do with folks that really need help and you're not willing to help them? You're just willing to pass them off as victims and go after something that's inanimate.
The guy that was the Sandy Hook shooter spent 12 hours a day in his mother's basement playing video games. In my opinion, this was a person that had a mental problem, was down there playing violent video games. Go after those video games. The video games, in my opinion, helped to lead this young man down the path to killing all those teachers and children at Sandy Hook. That's the problem. That's the problem. A mental health problem, a morality problem, a criminal problem. It's not a gun problem.
That's
Sharron,
right.
we got to take a break and get our first guest on. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Marlo Lewis from the Competitive Enterprise Institute is going to join us after this break. Talk about, will Trump safe rule for new cars harm the public health? Great question. We'll answer it right after this break. Thank you, Sharron.
Thank you, Rick. It's good doing the show with you again. I missed you.
Well, I missed you and I missed doing it. I'd rather do this than work on a roof.
I'm sure you would.
You know, I'm a little, I don't know. I don't think people my age should be on a roof, but it's what I have to do right now.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, as a reminder, for rebroadcast of our show, either our radio show or our TV show, best places to go is our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And Sharron, we do have our guest with us, a returning guest, a longtime friend of the show. And as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Well, it is an honor to introduce Marlo Lewis, Jr., who is a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Marlo has been published in the Washington Times, Investors Business Daily, Tech Central Station, National Review, among others. He has appeared on various television and radio programs, and his ideas have been featured in radio commentary by Rush Limbaugh and G. Gordon Liddy. Prior to joining CEI, he served as the Director of External Relations at the Reason Foundation, and during the 106th Congress, Marlo served as Staff Director of the House Government Reform Subcommittees on National Economic Growth, Natural Resources, and Regulatory Affairs. Marlo, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you very much, Rick and Sharron. Always glad to be with you.
Well, we're always glad to have you write such interesting articles. You've written one, Will Trump Safe Rule for New Cars Harm Public Health? So first, I guess we need to go into the SAFE rule. It's an acronym, and you can tell us what that acronym is for and how this will affect the public health industry. And I'm going to call it that because there's something afoot here that I want to discuss with you.
Okay. Well, the SAFE rule stands for the Safer, Affordable, Fuel-Efficient Vehicles Rule. So it's abbreviated as the SAFE rule. Mm-hmm. And this is the Trump administration's rollback of the Obama administration's fuel economy and greenhouse gas emission standards for motor vehicles. And the Obama administration set those standards way back in 2012. And there was actually a provision in that rulemaking to have what was called a midterm evaluation when we get to 2017, 2018. That's when the agencies are supposed to now take a new look at fuel prices, at vehicle technologies, consumer acceptance, and see if these standards need to be adjusted in light of this new information. And so, of course, the Obama administration thought that what it decided in 2012 was perfect and should never be changed. And California, which was the Obama administration's partner, is particularly the California Air Resources Board, thought these standards were perfect. They were inerrant, like the Bible, you know, and it was spoke in 2012, and so it doesn't matter that fuel costs have gone down dramatically since 2012. It doesn't matter that the public has demonstrated by its purchases that it really likes SUVs, crossovers, and pickups. You know, these bigger cars that are heavier that don't get as high a mileage as small cars. It also turns out that, you know, America is now the colossus of oil production in the world. So the energy security concerns that drove these standards to some extent back in 2012 have changed. But no, these people insist that their rulemaking back in 2012 must not be changed because it gives them more power over the auto industry, and these people love power. If you have tighter regulatory standards, that means you're squeezing the private sector harder, and you have more opportunities to penalize them when they don't quite meet the standards. So anyway, so there's a big dust-up, a big dispute, which has become now a legal dispute between the Trump administration and its allies and the state of California and its allies, and very likely this will all end up in the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So that's what the current controversy is about, and this article that I wrote that you referred to just summarizes my thoughts on an aspect of a hearing that occurred 2 weeks ago, at which I was the only minority witness. I was 1 out of 5. The others included, by the way, former Governor Jerry Brown for the majority, and also Senator Sheldon Whitehouse for the majority. So I wrote this article up about one aspect of this controversy, which is, would rolling back these fuel economy standards to make cars more affordable so that people could actually, middle-income households could actually enjoy the benefits of more fuel-efficient vehicles because they wouldn't be priced out of the market for them, would this rule harm public health? And of course, I showed that it was a lot of nonsense. But every single witness for the majority and many of the Democratic representatives claimed that this would be terrible, that it would increase asthma rates. And Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan's 13th district actually claimed that it would somehow increase cancer rates in her district.
In her district. Craziness, huh? Yeah. It's interesting to me. We've got smog industry, a whole industry that has been opened up because of this whole emissions thing. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, the industry, because I tried to, as a legislator, tried to get them to just reduce the amount of smog checks we had to do. We have to do one a year here in Nevada. Now, we know that emissions, and you have pointed this out in your article, that they're 99% cleaner than they were in 1960. So really, there's very little need for a smog check station, and yet government, through regulation, has actually made a new industry. They depend on this law. If we retract this and take people out of the not voluntary but involuntary smogging of their vehicles, the whole industry goes up the creek. And that's what I found, is that we've got people that are dependent upon these government regulations. They're fighting hard to keep those regulations in place because it's bread and butter on the table.
Wow. Well, I do recall that many years ago, I wish I could remember the details, there was an actual proposal that you could only get your smog, you can only get your emissions checked at a government facility, and that was defeated. But here's, I mean, I can only give you some anecdotal evidence for about what you're describing right now, because I haven't really looked into that. But I drive a 2001 Honda Odyssey. So this is an old car. And every time I bring it in, every year when I bring it in for the emissions check, it passes the emissions check.
Of course,
so that's
it does.
A vehicle that's already 17 years old. So why, I think you're right. Why should you have to bring it in every year, except that it makes work for a certain group of people?
Well, and that's when you were talking about the majority of those that testify in these hearings, they usually have an agenda of some kind, and it's not often very secret what that agenda is. So let's work on that little piece of it too while we're talking here, and talk about the agenda behind these folks that think this safe rule is just not going to work out at all. That's why I wanted to point out that the smog checkers were the ones that came in and really didn't want my bill to pass because it was going to ruin their industry.
Right. Well, the California Air Resources Board is a regulatory agency, and their business is regulating. And so if there ever came a time when the existing standards were good enough, they would have nothing else to do. And so you get this mission creep phenomenon where, as you mentioned before, today's vehicles, the vehicles, actually it was already in 2017, emit 99.4% less smog-forming emissions than a vehicle in 1967, all right? So, how much farther can we go? Well, it's just by the way things are going to roll out, changes that are already built into the pipeline, we're actually going to get it down to 99.8% less by 2025. But these people have to justify not only their current jobs, but their ambitions to increase their control over the rest of us. So that's a big part of it. Another big part of it, though, is simply partisan politics. Yes. All right. These people, I mean, if you look at, the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing, if you look at what's going on, it's the nonstop, impeachment campaign. I mean, this is just the latest phase of the impeachment campaign, but the Mueller investigation of the Russia collusion hoax, all of that, all these folks wanted to impeach Trump before he even was sworn in, before Inauguration Day. And their standard tactic, their modus operandi, is a smear campaign. This is what progressive politicians do, is that they try to smear and they're anyone who opposes their agenda as a bad person, as an evil person. And that's the way they're trying to smear the safe rule. They try to pretend that, if Trump wins and the safe rule is adopted, then the world is going to end from climate change, and also women and children will suffer most from asthma. or from cancer. I mean, and this is all, it's just pure malarkey, which I would be happy to demonstrate for you.
Well, and we'd like to have you do some demonstration here. You mentioned Rashida Tlaib and how she thinks that emissions in California are going to cause cancer in Detroit. So talk about that.
Okay. Well, actually, what she believes is that, see, there's a refinery, a Marathon Petroleum refinery in her district, and it is the only refinery in Michigan. And she believes that that refinery is causing asthma and cancer in her district. But what she thinks is that if we have the California standards instead of the Trump standards, then it will reduce the amount of business that the refinery does and maybe even put it out of business, because if California gets its way, eventually we'll all be driving electric cars and there will be no more need for refineries. And then somehow cancer and asthma will miraculously go down in her district. But it makes no sense at all, because to begin with, if refineries were a cause of asthma, we would expect that Texas would have the highest asthma rates in the country, because Texas has more refineries and, in fact, more fossil fuel infrastructure of all kinds, like active oil wells, producing gas wells, than all other states combined. And yet Texas is tied with South Dakota and Minnesota in having the nation's lowest asthma prevalence rate. Michigan's is very high. You know which state has one of the highest rates? Vermont. And Vermont has no refinery. In fact, all the New England states have very high asthma rates. There are no refineries anywhere in New England. And not only does Vermont have no refineries, it has no fossil fuel infrastructure whatsoever. There are no oil wells, no gas wells, no coal mines, And so, I mean, this is just poppycock. And then if you look at cancer, it turns out that Texas has the 3 largest refineries. They're way bigger than the refinery in her district. Her district's refinery has an output of 140,000 barrels a day. The 3 biggest refineries in Texas, which are Port Arthur, Baytown, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking, Galveston. Okay, those are all 4 and 5 times bigger. Okay, and those are also little tiny areas. If you look on a map, they're really compact, just like her district. Okay, but the cancer rates in those districts in Texas are significantly lower than the cancer rate in her district. And then to top it off, if you actually look at the data from Michigan's Department of Environmental Protection, you find that the Marathon Petroleum Refinery accounts for only 3% of all the industrial emissions in the 2-mile radius of the refinery. So 97% of all the emissions from stationary sources in her district come from other facilities, power plants, mostly power plants and steel manufacturing. So for her to blame and the other point is that the Michigan refinery has been, the emissions from it have been below the permitted levels, which are based on actual health information science, which tends to be alarmist anyway. But it's below those levels and has been for the last 14 years. So this is all character assassination of this refinery. This is smearing this refinery for the sake of just increasing government's power and control over industry, which is what progressives love to do.
Well, and to
Marlo,
set yourself up as an expert in medical things is quite alarming for this, but we've got to take a break here.
Sharron?
Yes.
Sharron, because that segment went long, let's not take the break.
Okay.
And say we did, but I do have a couple of questions for you. Marlo, why is California always seemed to be the standard? Why is California the trendsetter for the rest of the nation?
That's a very big question, and I'm not sure that I have a satisfactory answer. But it's very odd. You know, the state used to be a politically competitive state. You know, we had Governor Reagan at one time. We had Governor Pete Wilson.
Right.
For a long time now, the legislature and the governorship, it's been a perfect Democratic trifecta. And California, of course, has been a center of the counterculture, of the film industry, of the recording industry. So it has a lot of influence just by virtue of its cultural output. And then, in addition, you have Silicon Valley, which gives it a great deal of cachet.
But it seems like whenever they talk about these standards, either the CAFE standards or whatever, they always refer to California. We got to follow what California does.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me California is a unique standard in as much as they've got the mountain ranges that hold any smog or pollutants in that the rest of the country surely doesn't have. And to be using California as a standard, I think that's kind of a false standard because of that. But Marlo, we only got about another minute, and I really need to address this with you.
Okay, I can talk about that.
All
California has, under the Clean Air Act, has had this ability to set its own vehicle emission standards because it has these unique features like the mountains and the thermal inversions.
Why is it being used as a standard for the country?
Right, exactly. Now, the thing is, it has not used those as a standard for the country until it came to fuel economy, because one type of emission standard, greenhouse gas motor vehicle standards, are just fuel economy standards by another name. And so that creates a real problem, because fuel economy standards, unlike these other vehicle emission standards, are fleet average standards. And so the only way you could actually comply with these de facto fuel economy standards is if the whole country gets on board, because that's the only way the automakers can handle this administratively. If they're going to have to bring their entire fleets into some kind of an average, that means that they really have to get on the California standard, or there are just horrible inefficiencies and coordination problems. And so it's different if it's like for volatile organic compounds. Yeah, you can sell individual vehicles that meet those standards in California or some other state that opts into the California standard, and the federal standard in other states. But if it's a fleet average standard, then your entire fleet has to somehow conform to California, or it just creates huge market inefficiencies. So it is a coercive threat that California has held over the auto industry, because these are really de facto fuel economy standards. And what the SAFE rule does, and this is the best part of it, it says, no, California is not allowed to adopt standards that are related to fuel economy standards under the original fuel economy statute, which is the Energy Policy and Conservation Act. And so we are enforcing that through the SAFE rule, and California can promulgate any emission standard it likes, as long as it's not related to fuel economy. And that's what's driving them crazy, because they thought that they could legislate climate policy for motor vehicles for the country through their greenhouse gas motor vehicle standards. And the Trump administration has said, no, that's illegal. And if you keep doing it, you are violating the supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution.
Marlo Lewis, Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, we want to thank you for joining us. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work and read this article. We barely scratched the surface on it. A lot of terrific thinking, writing, and information in this article. Where can our audience read it all?
You can find it at cei.org. And thank you very much for those kind words.
Oh, and they're sincerely meant. And if I had more time, I would want to know, if Congress really wanted to know the truth on something, why they only had you up against 5 others if they're trying to find facts and the truth. You know.
Well, as I said, they're interested in conducting smear campaigns at this point.
Marlo Lewis, Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you. Likewise.
This is the the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Engel. And on the other side, we're going to be speaking with writer and economic policy analyst Stephen Moore. He has written a great article in the Washington Times. The Post and liberal media, again, get it wrong about the Trump economy. I'm not surprised, are you? We'll find out more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, CCRShow.com. And Sharron, we do have our next guest with us, and it's your honor to make the introduction.
It is my honor to introduce a longtime friend of mine and a friend of the show as well, Steve Moore, who's a writer and economic policy analyst. He founded and served as president for the Club for Growth and is a former member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. In 2014, Steve joined the Heritage Foundation, serving as its chief economist and distinguished visiting fellow. Steve now serves as senior economic analyst with CNN and author of Fueling Freedom, Exposing the Mad War on Energy. Steve, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hi, Sharron. Great to be with you. Now, my question for you is, when can we get you to run for the Senate again? We need you there badly.
Give me a call and we'll talk. Okay. Rick?
You would have been an amazing star in the Senate, and your voice is missed there. So I think people like Senator Rand Paul and Senator Lee of Utah could sure use your help and reinforcement. So I hope you consider it.
Thank you. Those are really kind words, and we do need some courage in the Congress these days. And, you know, I have to say, it's because of folks like you, Steve, that courageous members have a foundation to stand on when they go up against the odds that they're against right now. And I love this article that you've written. Post and liberal media, again, get it wrong about the Trump economy. It's a problem when all the Washington Post's fact checkers play for the liberal team. So it's this kind of fact that you give that allows those who have some courage to speak up plainly and strongly with facts. And I want to talk about this because you didn't just say, oh, I'm going to publish this article. You sent it first to the Washington Post. Go for it. Good on you.
Let me give your listeners some background here. So
sure.
About a month ago or so, I started looking at this monthly Census Bureau data that's compiled by some of the world's experts who have 30 years of experience working at the Census Bureau, and this is a private research firm. And what we found is looking at that data that comes out every month. And by the way, Sharron, this is the same data that the Labor Department uses to announce the unemployment numbers every month. So it's very reliable. It's the gold standard of economic data. And what we found, this is going to blow you away, so I'm glad that you're sitting down there, Sharron, is that the incomes since Donald Trump came into office for middle-class people, I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about people like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Tom Brady or wealthy people like that. I'm talking about middle-class families that since Trump entered office in January of 2017 through September of 2019, their incomes are up $5,200. That's an enormous increase. I mean, a spectacular increase. I had to quadruple. I couldn't even believe the numbers myself. They were so huge. And by the way, just to give you a sense of how good those numbers are, Sharron, under Barack Obama, in the 7 years that he was in office, not counting the Bush recession, which ended in June of 2009, incomes only went up $1,100. So think about that. In one half the time, Trump has increased the incomes for middle-class people by 5 times as much. Well, obviously, the liberals don't like that message too much, right? So they had to start attacking me and the people who put this stuff together. And it turns out the numbers are absolutely accurate. And the sweet part about this, and that the stuff that makes people kind of laugh at the Washington Post, is they were saying, well, we can't use this data, it's not reliable. And I found it 5 or 6 times in the past few years they've actually used this same data, but apparently you can only use it when it confirms what they want to hear and not doesn't confirm what they don't want to hear. But the numbers are bulletproof, they are accurate. Trump has accomplished for the middle class through his tax reductions, his deregulation efforts, his promoting American energy has been a spectacular achievement, not just for rich people, but for people in the middle class like the three of us.
Well, and that's a great increase. I couldn't ask my boss for a 400% raise over 2 years, could I? And yet it seems like the president has been able to accomplish just that. When you
Yep.
think of it in terms of how much of a percentage this was over what Obama did. And the fact checkers, they don't like it. They're whining about that, aren't they? That you would dare to compare Trump to Obama. Why is that?
Well, because a couple of reasons, Sharon. Number one is the narrative now, because look, I worked on the campaign, as you know, for Trump. I was the senior economic advisor with my buddy Larry Kudlow. And, every time we debated people from Harvard and Princeton and Yale and the people from, like Paul Krugman and Larry Summers and all these esteemed, liberal economists, they remember what they said? You guys remember. They said, if Donald Trump is elected president, he's going to cause the second Great Depression. Remember, he's going to destroy the economy, remember? And now, instead of a destroyed economy, we have the best economy, arguably in 30 or 40 or 50 years when you look at lowest unemployment rate, lowest inflation rate, lowest mortgage interest rates, huge gains in incomes. And so now they have to say, oh, well, this is just a continuation of the Obama economy. So they've shifted their argument because everyone knows this is a wonderful economy. By the way, the stock market keeps hitting record highs at the same time. And so, I said, well, wait a minute. How can this be a continuation of the trend under Obama? The income's only up $1,000 under Obama and $5,000 under Trump. Now, right. Sharron, does that sound like a continuation of a trend?
Well, I thought that the trend was, they were always whining during the Obama years that he had inherited this depressed economy, that he just couldn't help it. It was all Bush's fault at that time. Right. And really, I guess there was some truth to that because we've been kind of in this malaise, if you will, since 1999, 16. Right?
That's right.
20
That's
years.
Exactly right. So, yeah, and so this is why Trump won the election. By the way, this was, in my opinion, having been on that campaign, this was a vote of frustration by middle-class Americans against both Republicans and Democrats, don't you think? I mean, people were just fed up with neither party really being attentive to the blue collar, middle class people out in those, those flyover states, as the left likes to call them, states like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, West Virginia. And, Trump gave them hope. And he gave them more incomes, and he gave them jobs. And, one of my favorite statistics is that since Trump was elected, we've created 1.5 million manufacturing, construction, and mining jobs. Remember what Obama said, the only way Trump could actually achieve that is with a magic wand. Well, maybe he's got one, because we've got those jobs back.
Well, and you can talk about those magic wands because you are an economist and you know what makes this economy really trill. And it is thrilling to watch this thing just revive. We've known that America has the tools to do this kind of thing. And you, for one, have studied it for years. So tell us what some of those magic wands are.
Well, first of all, I saw the president a few weeks ago, and I was kind of only half kidding with him. I said, Mr. President, this stuff is working out better than we thought. This is exceeding our expectations, and the numbers are so good. And he just kind of laughed and said, Steve, you haven't seen nothing yet. So we're not done. We're just getting started here, Sharron, with this economic revival for middle class and blue collar. And by the way, I want to mention this because it's something that Donald Trump is proud of, and I'm quite proud of myself. The groups that have benefited the most are minorities. Hispanics and blacks have had huge gains. I think Trump is going to do extraordinarily well with minority voters, especially if he goes into those neighborhoods and those churches and those schools and says, look, I'm doing something finally for your neighborhoods and keeping them safe and keeping out illegal immigrants and getting crime off the street and providing economic enterprise and jobs in these areas. And Sharon, what did Democrats do in these cities for 50 years? Nothing. So it's a splendid record. You're right. And it happened because we changed policy, we changed direction. And I can't really go through all those things, right now. I'll simply say, it makes a big difference when you replace a community organizer with somebody who actually knows how to run a business. And that's what happened in 2016.
Well, you're right about that. We're talking with Stephen Moore about an article that he wrote, actually fact-checking the fact-checkers on their economic ignorance, really. And we are coming...
By the way, I don't know if it's... let me just interrupt you for a second there. So either it's ignorance or it's malevolence. Either they're just lying or they are ignorant. I think it might be a little bit of both. I mean, I think they realized that these numbers are devastating. And you know this, there is a psychosis on the left today. It's called anti-Trump derangement syndrome. And it's real, folks. I mean, it's real. And they can't accept the idea that Donald Trump's policies are working because, he's a villain. He is the Satan. So how could things be going so well? And so it's almost like they can't process this information. They hate Trump so much.
That's right. And Rick's going to take that up on the other side with Stephen Moore, our guest. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet. TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, AM, FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on TV on the AUN television network in Northern California, Pelosi country. Rick Trader and I will be right back with our guest, Stephen Moore, after these messages.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Yes, that's Sharron Angle. And our guest is Stephen Moore, writer and economic policy analyst. He's the founder and he served as president of Club for Growth. He's also worked with the Heritage Foundation, Freedom Works, and he's written for the Washington Times, Wall Street Journal, Town Hall, and just about every credible publication out there. Stephen, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Sure. Stephen, your article here, and I love what Sharron said about it. It's fact-checking the fact-checkers. Who are these fact-checkers out there, Stephen? I mean, it seems like they take on this title themselves, and by giving themselves this title, they become the experts. Who are they?
That's a great question, and the fact is that these are liberals. They are people who hate Trump. They're people who don't like our economic ideas, and so they have these things. They do the Pinocchio noses, and they assign some number of Pinocchio noses, and they assign 2 Pinocchio noses to Donald Trump for citing the research that I was just talking to Sharron about the huge gains in middle class incomes. And by the way, this comports with what we're seeing. Consumers are spending money like crazy these days. Go to a restaurant, go to a movie theater, go to a shopping mall, and you go on an airplane. All you see is people, spending money. And I get on a plane, and it's a family of 3 kids, getting on that plane because people have more money in their pockets. And people have been puzzled. Gee, why is the middle class spending so much money? Because they have more money. Because Trump has put more money in their wallet. And so the funny thing is that the Post said, Trump deserves 2 Pinocchio noses, and who deserves the Pinocchio noses? The fact checkers themselves. They got it completely wrong.
And then when the fact checkers say, well, that you can't rely on the experts, and the experts that you have listed is Centner Research. Tell us a little bit about Centner Research and maybe why the Washington Post should believe what they are told.
Well, these are 2 amazing people. By the way, they are scrupulously nonpartisan. They're not political at all. They're just numbers crunchers. And the guys who started this private research firm are the people who ran the program at the Census Bureau. Between the 2 of them, they have over 35 years of experience. So that I'd say they're probably the world's expert on the census data. And now what they do is have a private firm that examines the data month by month as it comes in. Now, look, these are first round estimates of what the numbers are going to be, but they're within 10% of the actual numbers when they will come out later in the year. But for them to question the integrity of these people and the accuracy of their numbers is ridiculous because, as I said, there's nobody in America who understands the numbers. In fact, they're the ones who built the computer programs at the Census Bureau that actually spits out the numbers.
Incredible. Stephen Moore, people on the left will make the argument that, Donald Trump is just benefiting from the Obama economy. This is all thanks to Barack Obama.
That's right.
And what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it's actually ironic because either the same people said if Trump is elected, he's going to destroy the economy, and now got to pivot to saying, well, okay, yeah, the economy's really great because it's Obama. Now, there's a couple problems with this. One is, the economy has accelerated so much, and if frankly, I mean, let's face it, if the economy had been as good under Obama as people say it was, then Hillary Clinton would be president today, right? I mean, the reason that they lost was because the economy was not good, especially in places like Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kentucky, West Virginia, those states that Trump lost. And by the way, Sharron, I don't recall whether Trump won Nevada. I think he lost Nevada, but I guarantee you he's going to win Nevada. And we're going to work our butts off to make sure he wins Nevada in 2020 because I think it was a close state and people benefited in the state of Nevada. But I think that there's just one other thing. Almost everything that we have done, because I helped, with the economic program we put together under Trump, everything was to reverse everything Obama did. So it'd be one thing if we continue with Obama's policies, but no, where Obama raised taxes, we cut them. Where Obama put us in the anti-American Paris Climate Accord, Trump pulled us out. All of these things, and then the liberals said, this can make the economy worse, and it's made it a whole lot better.
Stephen Moore, as Sharron and I said, you are the author of Fueling Freedom, Exposing the Mad War on Energy. And I bring this up because I want to quote to you something that Elizabeth Warren said. Elizabeth Warren said, on my first day as president, I will sign an executive order that puts a total moratorium on all new fossil fuel leases for drilling, offshore, and on public lands, and banning fracking. Stephen, I posted after reading that or hearing that, I posted on her Twitter handle, and yes, on your first day as president, you will destroy the U.S. economy. Am I right, Stephen Moore?
Yeah, you are. I mean, look, the miracle of the U.S. economy over the last 10 years, and the irony of this is that we would not have gotten out of the Bush recession under Obama had it not been for the miracle of shale oil and gas. It had nothing to do with Obama's policy. It was this massive new technology that was made in America, has tripled our oil and gas output. It's been the gift that just keeps on giving. And it is truly lunatic for someone to say, oh, we're going to shut that down. That's like saying, we don't want a cure for cancer. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, here's what's important about this, and I'm so glad you brought it up. We need to alert every single voter in the state of Pennsylvania, every voter in the state of Texas, every voter in the state of Ohio, every voter in the state of West Virginia, every voter in the state of Oklahoma, every voter in the state of North Dakota. I mean, there are about 15 states, including California, which should be, by the way, an energy state, but they're not producing much of it. To say, look, if you vote for Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, they're all saying the same thing. They are going to immediately, I mean, they're not disguising this. They are saying they're going to put hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans out of their jobs on their first day in office. So if people in Ohio and Pennsylvania are stupid enough to vote for that, maybe they deserve to lose their jobs.
Stephen Moore, always appreciate the time that you give us. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work and read your article.
By the way, I just want to say this. People in Ohio and Pennsylvania are not stupid. They're not going to, I think Trump is going to win an overwhelming landslide in those energy-producing states because people do know where their jobs come from. And so people can contact me at freedomworks.org, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks so much for having me.
Stephen Moore, we always appreciate you. Take care and God bless.
Take care.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours, free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. And I want to give a shout out to folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and seen on the AUN television network and stations in California and San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Wine Country, Redding, and you get it, Northern California. And Sharron, we do have our next guest with us. He's a new guest. We always love to get new guests here on Conservative Commandos. And the honor of the introduction is all yours, so please take it away.
It is my honor and my privilege to introduce John Phelan, who is a graduate of Birkbeck College, University of London, and of London School of Economics, where he earned his MSc. He worked in finance for 10 years before becoming a professional economist, and he's worked at the Capital Economics in London, where he wrote reports ranging from the impact of Brexit on British economy to the effect of government regulations on cell phone coverage. John has written for City M in London and for the Wall Street Journal in both Europe and the U.S. John, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is our pleasure to have you. We've been reading a really interesting article that you wrote. Entitlement liabilities are a graver threat to the next generation of Americans than climate change. And you go on to just bring up the poster child, if you will, that has really kind of taken the world by storm, who came in and said, Ms. Thunberg is who I'm talking about. She came in and said, you're killing us, you're killing our world, we won't have anything to inherit. But what you're saying is, honey, it's a whole lot worse than you think, and you're not even looking in the right place. So talk to us a little bit about where she should be looking instead of where the climate changers are all pointing in that direction, when really the problem's right here next door.
Well, if I'm, a millennial looking to the future and wondering what my kind of big problems are going to be, the issues of, a couple of degrees warming of the global temperature at the outside would be somewhat dwarfed by the huge flood of red ink which is heading our way from entitlement claims. For example, if you think of Social Security and Medicaid particularly, the way those work, you often hear people talk about, they're funded, the Social Security Fund. But there's a similar system in Britain, the National Insurance Fund. And when that was set up, the politician who established it, Nye Bevan, said the secret of the National Insurance Fund is that there ain't no fund. And it's exactly the same with the Social Security Fund. The money that you pay in and that your employer pays in now, in terms of payroll taxes, does not go into some fund and sit there waiting for you to retire. It goes to Social Security. The Social Security Administration, they then deposit it with the Treasury. The Treasury gives them a T-bill back. So if SSA hands over, $1 million, they get $1 million in Treasury bills back. And what happens is that's the Social Security Fund. It's a stock of Treasury bills. But these Treasury bills, all they are claims on the incomes of future taxpayers. So when people say, there's all these assets in there, all these assets are claims on future taxpayers. And if you're a millennial, that's you. That's your future earnings. That when you have a pay-as-you-go system, which is what Social Security is, which means that the benefits paid in today are paid out today, or the money paid in today is paid out today in terms of benefits. That's exactly what you have. What backs the system. It's not these mythical assets in some fund. What backs it is the tax-paying potential and the earnings of future taxpayers.
Well, you did a little short analysis, and I wished you would do that for our audience, an analysis of what has happened to the birth rate in our country and why that is important to Social Security, Medicare, those things that you're calling the entitlement funds that are not funded, as you say.
Well, the thing is with the pay-as-you-go fund is that you can pay as you go, as long as there are lots of people paying relative to the people collecting. And that actually was a situation, a long time ago. If we go back to 1946, each retiree was drawing their when they were drawing their Social Security, they were supported by 42 workers. Today, according to the SSA, roughly 3 workers cover each retiree's Social Security and Medicare benefits. That's down from 42. And by 2030, there will be only 2 workers supporting each retiree. So what that means is that a working couple in 2030 will have to support not only themselves and their family, but also someone from outside the family, thanks to Social Security and Medicare.
Well, I know that anyone who calls Social Security and Medicare an entitlement just gets a complete pushback for calling that those 2 programs that. But talk to us a little bit about why that's a correct terminology.
Well, the thing is, people think, I've paid in, that's my money. I'm sorry, the money you paid in got paid out long ago. It got paid out actually the day you paid it in. So if you paid taxes in 1974 into Social Security, that money went out in 1974. If you paid in 1986, that money went out in 1986. If you paid in 1997, that money went out in 1997. Your money is not there anymore. And so what you need to realize, and what these people need to realize, is that when they say that's my money, what they're demanding is that somebody else who probably wasn't even born when any of these laws were passed, or when any of these supposed, contributions were paid in, is that they underwrite these unsustainable promises. And what's, I think, really disgraceful is that this is not a surprise. This is not something that nobody foresaw. This hasn't come cracking out of the clear blue sky. In 1978, the Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Samuelson wrote this in Newsweek: "Our Social Security system is an actuarially unfunded system. There is no obligation for this generation to have children at the same rate as did previous generations. Therefore, when those born during the baby boom period of the 50s reach retirement age in the next century, their stipends will be felt as more of a burden by the thinner ranks of the then working population." That's exactly the situation we're in now, and it was diagnosed exactly in 1978. So people who paid in then cannot be now surprised when they find that their money isn't there. And they also can't expect people who weren't born in 1978 to underwrite those promises.
Well, I'm one of those boomers that's versing my grandchildren, really. My grandchildren are millennials, so I almost feel like I'm robbing them by taking my Social Security check, which, I paid into in good faith, thinking that was like a savings account for me. And yet what we're finding is that it's not just the birth rate that's gone up, but the longevity, where we boomers are living longer, and that's a problem as well.
Social Security has been kind of busted from both ends, really. The declining birth rate and the lengthening life expectancies has just kind of blown a hole in the sustainability of Social Security. To make Social Security solvent again, the payroll tax would need to be hiked immediately from 12.4% to 15.2%. Or Social Security benefits would need to be cut on a permanent basis by about 17%. One estimate from economists is that for Social Security and Medicare to stay as they are, that's the benefits being paid out, the payroll tax may have to rise to 25% of wages over the next decade, and a payroll tax of 40% is not unlikely by the middle of the 21st century. I wouldn't do that to my children. I have a 6-month-old kid, and there's no way that I want to, say to him, look, I'm going to pile on you for money later on. You're going to have to pay for me and all these other people to retire. My idea, actually, the way I was raised, is that you're supposed to try and leave something for your children. You're supposed to try and make your children better off than you were, not to, use them as kind of some kind of lemon to be squeezed when you reach a certain age.
Well, that's right. And I guess that's why your article was so poignant to me, because like I said, these are my grandchildren we're talking about. They're your children that we're talking about. And there seems like there should be a solution here. But what is it? Do you have it, John? Do you know? You're the economist. Help us out here. What could we do to save the future, really, the economic future for our children and grandchildren?
Well, a couple of things. There's a few things. Firstly, policies that contribute to robust economic growth. If we can have, faster GDP growth, higher rates of GDP growth, the economy will be bigger. And so the burden of these social security payments will not be felt quite so heavily. So policies of lower tax, lower government spending, and less regulation at the federal level, also a more reliable monetary policy would help in that respect. In terms of Social Security itself, you do need to look in the short to medium term at some form of reduced benefits. The question is, so which ratio is it, reduced benefits or higher taxes? So reduced benefits for the elderly or higher taxes for the young. That really is this kind of boomer millennial adversarial relationship. I hasten to add I'm a Generation Xer, so I'm Switzerland. I'm sat in the middle of all this, watching these people kind of fight out on either side. But in the longer term, what needs to happen is that, you talked about paying this money into a fund in good faith. If you had a private account, and you could pay this money into a private account and get some return, you'd actually be better off than if you had Social Security anyway. Social Security offers you a terrible return. It's a sub-market return. So if we could move to something, and this has been talked about, some kind of private Social Security account, in the longer term, that's what we need to move to.
Well, we have been talking with our guest, John Phelan, who is an economist who graduated from the University of London. And he's been talking about his article, Entitlement Liabilities Are a Greater Threat to the Next Generation of Americans Than Climate Change. I'm Sharron Engel. I'm co-hosting with Rick Trader, and we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back after these messages. And Rick, I think I'm going to start a savings account and put my Social Security in that so that my grandchildren will have it later on.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. And you know, the hallmark of our show is always great guests. And if you'd like to recommend someone to be a guest on the show, send an email to me, rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. It's just rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I read every email, but in the subject, put guest recommendation. Our guest this segment is John Phelan. He's an economist at the Center of the American Experiment and a fellow at the Cobden Center. John, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
That's no problem.
John, we're discussing your article, Entitlement Liabilities Are a Graver Threat to the Next Generation of America Than Climate Change. Great article, John, packed with terrific information, and it's really a primer. It's really a primer on the whole Social Security system. I love history. And to start my part of the interview, please tell us about Miss Ida Fuller.
Miss Ida Fuller, she received a check from the Social Security Administration on January 31st, 1940 for $22.54. She was the first person to retire under what was known as the Old Age Survivors and Disability Insurance Scheme, what we now call Social Security. When she retired in 1939, she paid just $22 in Social Security taxes. Now, Miss lived to be 100 years old, and she cashed over $20,000 worth of Social Security checks. So where did that money come from? Considering that when people say, "Oh, this is my money, I paid in," well, as soon as she got her first check, she basically cashed out. The fact that she carried on receiving checks, for another 30 plus years, should really raise alarm bells to somebody that, no, you are not getting the money you paid in back. You're getting the money somebody else paid him back.
Mm-hmm. Well, that I guess you could call that start as the golden age of Social Security. And you write in your article that when the program began, and you and Sharron talked about this, that for every 100 workers, they were supporting 3 retirees. Now, what is the ratio today? How many workers is it taking to support one retiree?
Well, each retiree now is supported by 3 workers. So there's been a huge collapse in that ratio. And that is, like I said, that's forecast by 2030 to fall to 2 workers supporting each retiree. So think of a married couple out there working in 2030. Not only are they going to be looking after their own family and paying for their own family, they are going to be supporting somebody else as well, somebody that they've never met, somebody out there somewhere.
Well, John, today Social Security is looked at as a retirement program. Was that its intention when it was started?
Absolutely not. I think the kind of name gives it away, really. Old age survivors and disability insurance. Now, when Social Security was first brought in, you became eligible for it at like 65. And most people died at around 64 or 65. So to some extent, Social Security was insurance against living too long. Mm-hmm. And why do we say 65? Well, really, that's because the first Social Security scheme goes back to Germany in the 19th century. Otto von Bismarck, he instituted the first Social Security scheme, and he chose 60 as the age at which you became eligible for benefits. Now, his scheme was actually actuarially sound, and again, most people died in Germany at that time at the age of 60. So really, Social Security, very few people collected it. Very few people were intended to collect it. And this is one reason why the whole thing has just collapsed in terms of sustainability, is because life expectancies have grown. And so, to some extent, one of the things that can be done for Social Security to make it more sustainable is to increase the retirement age, because life expectancy has risen quite drastically, but the retirement age hasn't really moved too much.
Well, John, again, a terrific article, and you have some terrific information in this. And what it really points out to me, John, is this has become a political windfall for politicians, the Social Security Administration. You have in here, Congress passed across-the-board benefits of increases of 7% in 1965, 13% in 67, 15% in 69, 10% in 71, 20% in 72, and 11% in 74. And in 72, benefits were tied to the Consumer Price Index. John, when you add on to that all the other little goodies that are now part of Medicare, things like Medicaid and Medicare Part D. I mean, wow. You want somebody to vote for you, John? You just promise some more and more and more. Am I right on this?
That's absolutely true. And another thing, just to go back to this point about CPI and the cost of living adjustment, most economists agree that the CPI actually overstates real inflation because of the way it's constructed. So if you're getting an increase that's indexed to the CPI, then you are getting a real terms increase. But if you think of, Medicare's a big problem, Medicaid's a big problem. So, for example, the Medicare Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is forecast to run out of reserves in 2026. Its second trust fund for physician and outpatient services and for prescription drugs. Now, that is permanently solvent, but that is permanently solvent only because it has an unlimited call on the general fund of the Treasury, which is, again, the incomes of future taxpayers. Premiums paid by these beneficiaries will cover only about 25% of program costs, and the rest of the spending is unfinanced. And Medicare's overall unfunded liability over 75 years is more than $37 trillion. That's a staggering amount.
It is staggering, John, and I wanted to bring that up because you write in your article, over 75 years, Social Security has an unfunded liability of almost $14 trillion. And as you just mentioned, over 75 years, Medicare's unfunded liability is $37 trillion. Now, John, I'm not great in mathematics, but when I add these two figures up, that's over $50 trillion. And I bring this up because, John, if you take the net worth today, if you take the net worth of every American, this figure of 50 trillion is over half of the net worth of all Americans today. I would call
well, it's more.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
It's more than 200% of GDP at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. You know, John, we got to wrap this up, but I'll tell you what I came away with after I read your article. When the Soviet Union collapsed, so did all the pensions in the Soviet Union. Could you foresee the same thing happening in this country?
It's possible. I mean, look, if something can't be paid, it won't be paid. The government will
even if they crank up the printing machine.
But all that will do is create inflation and erode the purchasing power of whatever money you get, so it'd be a real terms cut. The point I would make about all this is the people to be angry with is not necessarily boomers. Boomers shouldn't be angry with millennials. The point I made in the first part of the interview, that this was foreseen at the time that these benefits are being hiked. The people to be angry with are the politicians who made these promises knowing that they would never be kept. But they didn't care because they would not be around when it happened. So the string of increases that you mentioned in the late 60s, early 70s, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, those are the two guys to be really angry with.
Can we add George Bush to that mix?
For the Medicare Part D, absolutely. And also, I can't remember the guy's name now, but Medicare Part D, you're not allowed to negotiate for the prices with drug companies. That was specifically written into the law. And the guy who wrote that law, after he stepped down, guess where he ended up working? Pharmaceutical company. So it's absolutely rotten. It absolutely stinks. Yeah, it's absolutely true. And if you look at the Veterans Administration, for example, which is allowed to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies, they pay much lower rates for the same drugs than Medicare does.
You know, John, the other thing that I'm afraid of, and the reason I say this, is being somebody who is on Social Security and is on Medicaid, there's going to be a lot of young people out there that won't see the politicians as the villains, but see people, older Americans like myself. I'm serious. Kind of makes me a little worried. But John Phelan, we got to run. We got to go. But before we do, please tell our audience, again, this is a terrific article you wrote. Where can they read it and where can they follow your work? And tell us a little bit about the American experience.
The article was written for the Foundation for Economic Education, and so you can find that there. I do occasional stuff for them. Generally, I write for Center of the American Experiment. Our website is americanexperiment.org. You can follow me on Twitter if you wish. I'm not much of a tweeter, but I do go on there occasionally. And the handle is Minnesotanomics, which is terrible, but I can't think of a better one at the moment.
All right. John Phelan, again, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks ever so much. It was a pleasure.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel. I'm Rick Trader. Don't you go away. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Well, Sharron, that wraps it up. And, you know, one of the great honors I have is being a host and producer of the Conservative Commandos radio show is not just working with people like you and George and Nasser, our guests. You know, I learned so much from our guests. They're my teacher. I'm their student. And it's really an honor to meet these great people. But Sharron, first off, tell our audience how they could follow you when you're not here with me, or George or Nasser on Conservative Commandos.
Sure. They can go to my website, SharronEngel.com, SharronEngel.com. But I want to thank our guests. We had a great 2 longtime friends of the show and good friends of the show with us. First, we want to thank Marlo Lewis, who talked to us about Trump's safe rule and the new cars, if they're really going to harm public health or not. Our second guest was Stephen Moore, who is an economist, and he talked to us about an article that he wrote about the fact checkers. He fact-checked the fact checkers, said that the Post and liberal media, again, get it wrong on Trump's economy. And finally, we had a new friend of the show, John Phelan, who gave us an article that really made you and I think about who we are. It's an article comparing the boomers to the millennials and what's going to happen with entitlement liabilities, which are graver, he says, than the threat of climate change.
Well, Sharron, going back to Marlo Lewis and the article that he wrote about this safer, affordable, fuel efficient. I mean, come on, anytime a politician adds the word affordable, like the Affordable Care Act, safer, affordable, fuel efficient, it makes me cringe. Because I know it's not going to be safer. It's not going to be affordable. They're going to add the cost onto it. It's incredible. John Phelan, entitlement and liabilities are a graver threat to the next generation of Americans than climate change. Everybody's worried about climate change. I'm not sure what it's like out in Nevada this week, but the East Coast is setting all types of record lows. Let's bring on a little bit of that global warming. And Stephen Moore, the liberal media, again, get it wrong about the Trump economy. They are cheering against the Trump economy. They want our country to fail. They want a depression here. And why, Sharron Engel? Because they want the power back. That's all there to it. So the hell with the country. Let the country fail. Let people suffer. As long as they can regain the power, that's all they want. That's all they want. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Bloomberg can't win the Democratic nomination. He used to be the Republican mayor of New York. He's a billionaire, and you can just hear Elizabeth Warren saying, we already have one billionaire Republican, we don't need a second one. And I think that he's entering the nomination too late, and I don't think he's going to be able to win those primaries. But on the other hand, I think that he may be laying the basis for an independent candidacy. He may be trying to work his way to a point where he could run as a third-party candidate. And as a third-party candidate, he could actually win. The prerequisite to being an independent candidate is enough people have to hate both of the current nominees. And if it's Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump, looks like they qualify easily with that threshold. There are enough people who are turned off by Warren's ideology and turned off by Trump's personality that while it is not a majority within either party, it might be a plurality carved out of the center of the entire electorate. And you could see Bloomberg running on that basis. And obviously the logistical constraints of money and time and staff and all that, he can easily overcome from his personal wealth. So Bloomberg could have a shot to run as an independent. And this entire process of running as a Democrat could be to build up a base and build up the momentum to make an independent candidacy possible. He's already done that with very vigorous positions on guns and taking other positions that are satisfactory to the left of the Democratic Party, but probably not enough to overcome Elizabeth Warren's ideology and Bernie Sanders' class warfare. When he would enter the primary, he would be the enemy, the personification of the billionaire, and the top 1%, as Bernie Sanders loves to say. And you can't win an election when you are not just a negative issue, but you're the black beast, the bête noire, the thing that everybody else is running against. So I think Bloomberg is definitely going uphill in the pursuit of the Democratic nomination. But I think this may well spin off into an independent candidacy that could be the first successful third-party candidacy in history. Some would say Bloomberg would just be helping Trump by splitting the Democratic vote but not affecting the Republican vote. But there are large numbers of people that would love to see someone with Trump's ideas and Trump's policies, but not Trump's personality and divisiveness and rhetoric. And that may be enough for him to be able to win.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Democrat Adam Schiff says no way Jose to the list of witnesses the GOP wants to call in the Trump impeachment hearings. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has some tough words about the deep state, and Bernie Sanders puts a price tag on his latest socialist idea. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, I hope you had a great weekend. We got a lot to cover, as you heard in the intro. And I want to throw in one other story real quick because it just shows Ilhan Omar doing the same stuff she always does, and it's probably going to get a pass from the Democrats and from the media. This weekend, CNBC announced that billionaire Leon Cooperman has said that he's going to endorse Michael Bloomberg for president. Both men are Jewish, and in reaction to CNBC's tweet, Ilhan Omar tweeted this. She said, "I wonder why." And it just, once again, it's the backlash she's received has been intense because it shows an ongoing pattern. This is the same person who referred to the Jewish community's involvement as being all about the Benjamins. And she just doesn't learn. And hopefully, someone will say something and the media will actually cover this because it's ongoing. She never changes. She does the same thing. So next, I want to get into the show and talk about Nikki Haley because she is a former UN ambassador under President Trump, former governor of South Carolina. She has a new book, and she sat down with CBS this morning and talked about it and talked about life in the Trump White House and how people, top officials, were trying to subvert the actions of President Trump. These are people that were hired to work for the president, and they have their own agenda. And here's what she had to say.
Haley recounts a closed-door encounter with then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly and then Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Kelly and Tillerson confided in me that when they resisted the president, they weren't being insubordinate, they were trying to save the country.
So in addition to Kelly's comments, Norah O'Donnell, the host, the interviewer, she also quoted from the book. Rex Tillerson said that he subverted the president's actions, otherwise people would die. And so in reaction to that, this is what Haley said.
Instead of saying that to me, they should have been saying that to the president, not asking me to join them on their sidebar plan. It should have been, go tell the president what your differences are and quit if you don't like what he's doing. But to undermine a president is really a very dangerous thing. And it goes against the Constitution and it goes against what the American people want.
So Haley is absolutely right, okay? The president was elected. It's his policies. When people vote for a president, they say, and the president wins, this person wins, they're saying, put your policies in place. This is why we voted for you. We're going to reevaluate after 4 years. But to hire people and have those people think that they know better and try and subvert those policies, talk to the president, talk to your boss. If you don't like it, then quit. That's how things work. So both Tillerson and Kelly were given a chance to respond, and here's what Kelly said.
We asked them to respond. John Kelly tells Sunday Morning, if by resistance and stalling she means putting a staff process in place to ensure the president knew all the pros and cons of what policy decision he might be contemplating so he could make an informed decision, then guilty as charged.
So blah, blah, blah from Kelly. And it goes into what we've said before. This shows what the deep state is all about. These entrenched bureaucrats that think that they are the policymakers. They are foreign policymakers. They are domestic policymakers. They're not. They are there to carry out the president's domestic and foreign policy agenda. And we see what happens when a president doesn't play ball the right way, the way the establishment wants him to. We see what's happening, and thankfully Nikki Haley is pointing it out. She was also asked about impeachment and this whole idea that funds were withheld unless Ukraine did an investigation, and here's what she said about that.
The Ukrainians never did the investigation, and the president released the funds. I mean, when you look at those, there's just nothing impeachable there. And more than that, I think the biggest thing that bothers me is the American people should decide this. Why do we have a bunch of people in Congress making this decision?
All right, you can't say it more directly than that. No investigation was forced. The Ukrainians, president said there was nothing wrong with the phone call, and the funds weren't withheld. The Ukrainians got the funds. So there's nothing there, and Haley rightfully pointed it out. So next, going into the impeachment story, I want to give you the latest of what's going on because now we enter a new phase. This week we enter a phase of public hearings. So the GOP, as a counter to all the craziness that Adam Schiff and the Democrats have been doing so far with private hearings and limited witnesses and coaching witnesses and fabricating stories and statements, the GOP has a list of witnesses that they want to call, including folks like Hunter Biden, who's at the heart of this Ukraine stuff, the whistleblower himself or herself, and people like that to actually shed some light in a public arena on what's going on. And Schiff doesn't want any part of it. And here's a report from the Washington Times. It says, House Republicans want to call Hunter Biden and the whistleblower as witnesses in the Democratic impeachment inquiry, but House Permanent Select Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff is having none of it. In a Saturday statement, the California Democrat said he would refuse to allow public committee hearings, which begin Wednesday, to be used to pursue sham investigations into the Bidens. This inquiry is not and will not serve, however, as a vehicle to undertake the same sham investigations into the Bidens, said Mr. Schiff, or 2016 that the president pressed Ukraine to conduct for his personal political benefit, or to facilitate the president's effort to threaten, intimidate, and retaliate against the whistleblower who courageously raised the initial alarm. All right, so again, Schiff can make up information, completely fabricate statements, coach witnesses, hold closed-door hearings, yet the Republicans want to get this out in the open, and he's saying, no, we can't do that. We're playing by our rules on this whole bogus hearing anyway. And here's more from the Washington Times. It says the chairman's response came shortly after ranking member Devin Nunes sent out a list of 8 requested witnesses to testify publicly as part of what he called the sham impeachment process. In addition to Mr. Biden, son of former Vice President Joseph Biden, and a former board member of Ukraine's Burisma Holdings, the list included former Burisma board member Devin Archer, ex-Democrat National Committee staffer Alexandra Chalupa, and former Fusion GPS opposition researcher Nellie Orr. Mr. Nunes also sent testimony from all individuals relied upon by the anonymous whistleblower in drafting his or her second-hand complaint. All right, like I said, public hearings are supposed to start this week, and I will definitely keep you posted on who and who is not allowed to testify. So next I want to talk about Bernie Sanders because He's given a speech, and he's full-on socialist. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, full-on socialist. And they have these policies that will just not only tear up the economy, they will destroy the economy because the price tag is too high. They're going to kill jobs. They're going to kill growth, all in an effort to put socialism, impose socialism on the United States. So he was in Iowa, and he's talking about his latest plan and how much it will cost. And here's what he said.
Now, building on the Green New Deal, we have brought forth a rather detailed proposal, and I have been criticized by some who say it is expensive. Well, they're right. It is. It's $16 trillion.
So that's $16 trillion. I mean, wow. And here's what the plan would do. Okay, this is from the Washington Examiner. It says the $16.3 trillion plan intends to transition the United States to 100% renewable energy in a decade. Sanders proposes paying for the plan by cutting military spending, increasing taxes on the wealthy and corporations, litigation, fees and taxes on the fossil fuel industry, and collecting new income revenue from the 20 million new jobs created by the plan, in addition to other ideas. All right, so, oh my God, I don't even know where to start, okay? 20 million new jobs, he's destroying an entire industry. So many people are going to be out of work. And how does he expect to collect tax revenue to pay for this from the fossil fuel industry when he is driving the fossil fuel industry out of business? Okay? If you're a corporation that doesn't make any money, guess what? You're not going to pay any taxes. If you are in charge, if you're working in that industry and you are out of a job, you're not paying any taxes. So his whole plan is it's just ridiculous. And yet they keep pushing these things as if socialism is the be-all, end-all, even though it's never worked, even though it'll destroy the economy. He keeps doing it. So next, I want to talk to you about what happened this weekend at the Alabama LSU game, because President Trump was there. And, the media made a big deal during the World Series when President and First Lady Melania Trump showed up at one of the World Series games in D.C., and they talked about the boos the president received and things like that. And MSNBC apparently wanted to see if that might happen again at the Alabama LSU game. So they sent a reporter down to the game, obviously not to cover sports, but to cover what the reaction would be for President Trump at the game. So before we get into the Q&A for the reporter, here was the reaction to President Trump at the game. All right, so that was the reaction. It was just awesome. But like I said, we had an MSNBC reporter, and she was interviewing 3 students. And I don't know what MSNBC's angle was, what they were trying to prove or show. But what happened was it was so awesome, so interesting. And I don't think they liked the responses. Here is one response from the first person.
What do you make of President Trump's visit here to this big game this afternoon?
Honestly, I'm so honored that the president would come to Tuscaloosa.
So then she moves down the line, and here's the response from the second one.
Delaney, what kind of a reception do you think the president is going to be met with inside the stadium?
I think for this game, it's going to be a very positive reaction for the president. I think there's going to be probably either a standing ovation or at least a lot of cheering.
All right, so we have another great response. All right, that's 2 for 2 right now. And so now she moves down to the final one, the guy at the end. So he's bound to have something intelligent to say, right? It's her final guest. I'm sure they talked to these people before they got going. So what insightful comment did he bring to the discourse? What did he offer to MSNBC? Check this out.
And I want to turn here to Parker as well. The 3 of you told me you voted for the president in 2016. You're supporters of his. Why do you like him so much, and what policies stand out to you that you support?
Well, I would say mainly just the no-nonsense policies, and especially since Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's awesome, yeah. That's totally perfect. Just wait and see it.
Turning back to Alabama.
So that's right. We got some breaking news, and you heard it right here. And that was just awesome. To do that with a straight face, I don't know how he pulled it off, but you could hear the host back at the studio on MSNBC wonder, I don't know. And then the reporter was just, let's move on. But that was so funny when I saw those reactions, those reports, that I just had to share it with you, because anytime you can stick it to MSNBC, I say go for it, because that is just the worst network. I mean, it's just terrible. So I found that really funny, and I hope you enjoyed it too, because we're still wondering. We still know he didn't kill himself. So anyway, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also, for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
As all the Democrats and the media focus on Donald Trump and what happened with Ukraine, it seems like a lot of the liberals are overlooking the real corruption and the real crime. And that was, of course, involving Joe Biden and his son, Hunter. Now, of course, Hunter Biden cashed in throughout Biden's term as vice president and afterwards. He's a guy with no particular training in anything, a drug addict, someone who had all kinds of personal problems, yet somehow scored big deals in China and Ukraine. Of course, he doesn't know the language, he doesn't know the people, he doesn't know anything about oil and gas, but his last name is Biden. He was glad to cash in to the tune of $50,000 a month. Joe Biden went over there and pressured the Ukrainian government and told them, you better get rid of this prosecutor that you have on board that's investigating this oil and gas company that hired my son, or you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees. That seems to be a quid pro quo. That seems to be corrupt, certainly looks to be illegal. But instead of focusing on that, everyone is focusing on a phone call the president made to the Ukrainian leader where they both talked about the need to drain the swamp. It's a cesspool of corruption in Ukraine. Of course, any president here would want to get to the bottom of problems in their country affecting our country, which is what the president was trying to do. Joe Biden is protected because he's a liberal, because he's a Democrat. Hunter Biden, if his last name was Trump and he was involved in all of this, the media would be hysterical. Of course, people in Washington would want to be investigating him. But he's got a pass. He's a liberal Democrat. He's a Biden. So none of this is really being investigated like it should. Now he's saying that if his dad is elected president, he'll make sure that he's not going to be involved in these kind of deals. Pretty much admitting that it was wrong that he was involved in the first place. Thank goodness we don't have Joe Biden as president. Thank goodness there are not going to be any more shady deals involving Hunter Biden. And let's hope the American people in 2020 don't go down the direction of corruption like we've seen with the Bidens for all the 50 years that he's been involved in political positions. It's time for Joe Biden to retire, and it's time for Hunter Biden to get away from all of these shady, crooked deals that not only make his family look bad, make the country look bad. I'm Jeff Crouere. Thanks for watching.